I want to ask a question from crowd here. Has anyone developed a protected app or website before? Yeah? When you did that, how long did it take you to implement just authentication from start to end? Month? A week? Yeah? What if I tell you that implementing authentication should include hosting it in production, it should include having test coverage for it, make sure that it goes through security standards, and it should also include all different authentication pages. Sign up, sign in, forgot password, verification, reset password. And also it should work across multiple platforms. How long does it take now? Perhaps a bit longer? Well, I'm here today to tell you that implementing authentication can take as little as 10 minutes. Hi everyone, my name is Zainab and I'm a software consultant at Mechanical Rock. Really excited to be here today, and I would like to share my story of implementing authentication using AWS Cognito. Firstly, during this session, I will start with what is Cognito and what does it provide. Then I'll go through actually demoing that it does take less than 10 minutes to implement it. And also I will go through advantages, why I think Cognito is an awesome service, and challenges that I've had with it along my way. But before I get started, I would like to share my story of implementing authentication before I knew Cognito existed as a service, and after, and compare the difference. It was one Saturday morning that we forgot to put our bins outside the night before, and my husband came to me and he said, what if there was a service that it would come, people would come, take your bins, and you would pay $1 a week for it? You wouldn't have to worry about what bloody bins you put outside. You wouldn't have to worry about which day of the week it is. Some people would come and do it for you. And he said, what if we develop that app? You're a developer. You can do it. He said, there are 10 million houses in Australia, and out of it, think about it, if 10% of those houses subscribe to our app, that will be 1 million houses, which each of them, if they pay $1 a week, which becomes $10 million a week. And think about it, we won't do the job, we get people to do the job, we pay them 80% of the money, and we keep 20% for ourselves. That could become potentially $200,000 that we can earn per week. So the idea sounded good, and I was like, okay, I can try. Even if it doesn't work out, I can learn something. I can learn how to implement an app. So I got my friend involved, and we both started developing that app using React Native. It took us about a good 3 months to just implement authentication pages. It's a secured app. You need to authenticate. Just those pages, this is what we did. Sign up, sign in, verification, forgot password. 3 months, just the UI design. Nothing backend, no functionality, nothing. And when I was thinking about what I need to do for the backend, I had no idea. I was thinking that I knew Identity Server. I've worked with Identity Server 3 and 4 in .NET. I knew I can implement Identity Server, but I didn't know where to host it. I also didn't know how much would it cost me. And if I implement Identity Server, I need to have some sort of database in the backend to store username and password. Where that database is going to be, how much is that going to cost me? And what about the security of the database? I have to think about so many things which I didn't have any answer for. Coincidentally, while I was thinking what I need to do for my backend, I joined Mechanical Rock. And I was assigned to a project. I was looking into the architect design of that project, and I saw a symbol of Cognito with an arrow to Active Directory. I was like, I knew what Active Directory is. It's a place you store your user credentials, but I didn't know what Cognito is. So I started Googling. I started searching about it and learning. Believe it or not, it took me only 1 hour to implement my end-to-end authentication. Having all different authentication pages, having backend, database, making it work from start to end. What took me 3 months to just do the UI was done in 1 hour, 100% of it. And that's why I'm inspired and I'm excited to tell you about the same thing, that if you want to implement authentication, look into Cognito. It is amazing. Alrighty, what is Cognito? We've been talking about it. It's an authentication service provided by AWS. What else does it provide? Provides authorization for other AWS services if you want access to other AWS services. It provides multi-factor authentication. It also provides federated identities. If you need to have Facebook login, Google login, or connecting to Azure AD, you could also do that with Cognito. It has a hosted UI. You don't have to design your UI. You don't have to write it. It's already there, provided for you. And also, it provides analytics, user analytics, what devices they log in with. And of course, it's AWS. It supports CloudFormation. You can write infrastructure as a code, push a button, deploy. That's what we all want, right? And now it's the demo time to prove that it does actually take less than 10 minutes. Now I can start the time. For the purpose of this demo, I've got a React app. I've got 2 components, one landing page, one protected page. And it's a simple route to them. There's nothing specific, just 2 simple HTML code, React code. What I can test it and go through it before doing anything. This is my landing page. And then protected page, which is not protected at the moment. So what I will do, I'll go and create a Cognito user pool, and then come back, protect my React app with it. There you go. All you need to have an AWS account with access to Cognito. Click on Cognito service, and then wait for it. And then again, wait. Right. And then there's 2 concepts here, one user pool, one identity pool. User pool is what you need for your authentication. Identity pool is access management to other AWS services. For today, we only need user pool. Go and create a user pool. I call it the bird user pool. And I want users to only log in with their email, and that's it. Password policies, I want it to be 10 character long. And I don't need MFA, I just need an app client. Give it a name. Refresh token expiry, I want it to be 1 day. Create the client. And that's all you need to do to create your user pool. Once your user pool is created, you can set up some settings. For my app client setting, I want to allow Cognito user pool to be identity provider. And then I want to give it some callback URL. So this is basically a white list of URLs which you're allowing your authentication to go to after a successful login. And the same with sign out URL. I want to allow authorization code grant and implicit grant. And in my token, I want to allow to get back email, OpenID, and profile scopes. Right. Then I can choose a domain name for my Cognito. Call it the bird app. Check if domain is available. Yes, it is. Or you can give your own domain as well if you want to. Done. It's saved. Okay. UI customization doesn't give you a lot of options, but it has some customization. Go to banner. I want my banner to be white color. Save. Righty, that's all you need to do. To test it and make sure that it's working, I need to construct the Cognito URL. For that, I will need this client ID, and the URL is my domain name, /login, response type is a token, and my client ID is what we just created, and redirect URI. So we go and test and make sure that it's working. Phew. So this is our Cognito user pool. It's already there. It's got a domain for you. It's got a UI, and that's it. So next step is going back to my application and protecting it with the user pool. I go to the route, and I created a private route component, and I want my protected page to go to that private route instead of a normal route. In the private route component, I'm using AWS Amplify library. This is a wrapper provided by AWS for some of the AWS services, such as Cognito. And all you need to do is you need to set up your Cognito configuration. You need to set up your domain name, your redirect sign-in, sign-out, and also your user pool information, your region, user pool ID. So our pool ID is that. And web client ID, which is the client ID in client settings. Copy that too. And then I'm saying amplify.configure with these settings that I'm giving you. Then in my component will mount, I will say session equals to auth.current session. This is Amplify library. It will give you a session if your browser has a logged in session of your user. If it doesn't, it will throw an error. So if I have a session, I will set some state, authenticated to true. And if it doesn't have the session, if it throws an error, I will say construct my Cognito URL, the one that we just went and saw, and set my states to false. And then when the application is rendering, I will say, if authentication is true, if the user is authenticated, route to my component. If not, and if it's not authenticating, then assign my browser to the URL that I constructed, which the URL is basically your domain /login, redirect URI, response type, client ID. That's it. So now let's go and test it. I'll open incognito mode. Localhost 3000, landing page is not protected as expected. I'll go to protected route. Yoo-hoo! I was redirected to sign up. So I don't have a user, I'll go and sign up. And then I should receive an email with verification code. Confirm account. And yoo-hoo, I'm back to my protected page. I still have 1 minute and 52 seconds left. Right. And that's the demo. Advantages of Cognito. So it was easy to set up. As you saw, in less than 10 minutes, you can set up your authentication. And it takes away the complexity of implementing authentication. If you have an idea, you're a startup business, or even like big client, You can start and set up your authentication very fast and then move on into your business requirements. You're not bound to Amazon services. It is important you're using Amazon only for authentication. You don't have to use anything else. You can be using Azure Cloud, you could be using Google Cloud, physical server, it doesn't matter. You're just having the authentication service. But it's important to know that if you do use Amazon services, it does integrate really well. For example, in our client, we're using AppSync, which is the GraphQL service provided by AWS. And with 2 lines of configuration, my AppSync API is protected. I'll say, just this is my user pool ID, this is client ID, and that's it. All your queries, mutation, it's all protected for you. Same with S3 if you have some resources, documents, or pictures that you want to protect. And it's free for the first 50,000 users. And by that, I mean 50,000 active users, not when they come, sign up, and then they go away. It is a scalable. AWS, you could use it as in a large scale or small scale, works fine. It allows federated identities, social logins with Google, Facebook, and also it provides Amplify library. If I was not using Amplify, what would I do? I'll get the token from the browser. Is it secure? No. I need to validate the token. I need to go to Cognito and say, is my token valid? And then after that, I need to store it somewhere in local storage because I can't go to Cognito all the time. Then, can I trust my local storage? No. I need to secure it somehow. I need to encrypt it and then have an encryption key and like so many complexity. Whereas with Amplify, it's all been taken care of. You don't have to do anything. You just say, do I have a current session? Yes or not? And challenges. Of course, as awesome as it is, I had some challenges with it too. Setting up CloudFormation was one of the main challenges. It took me 1 hour to set it up through AWS Console. It took me 1 week to set it up through CloudFormation. And that's because not all the customization of Cognito is provided by CloudFormation. So you need to write some custom resource lambdas. And in there, using AWS SDK, you customize your client or hosted UI, and then reference it to your CloudFormation. While you're running CloudFormation, goes to Lambda, execute the Lambda, and then comes back, continue executing your CloudFormation. AWS documentation sucks, and I'm sure I'm not the first person who says that. It only provides the happy part. If you need customization, there's nothing, and you just have to experience it. And attribute schema is not modifiable. So the one that I saw, I said, I only want users to register with their email and password. If you want them to register with more details, like address, phone number, or custom attributes, and then you decide to change it later, not changeable. You have to delete your Cognito, recreate it again, and go through the pain. And I've got some references. It did take me a lot of time to set up my CloudFormation, but it is there. I've got a public repo for anyone who wants to use it, who wants to have a look. You don't have to go through the pain. You just go through the README and then create your CloudFormation through Cognito. And public repo of today's session, today's demo with React App, and also some references to AWS documentation, Amplify documentation, and setting up Azure AD. And that's it. Thank you for listening. And question time.